Hi, good evening. Welcome to the February 5th, 2024 Parks and Recreation meeting. Will the staff secretary please call roll?
Nick Alexander,
Here.
Renee Bororiak,
Here.
Matt Bridge,
Here.
Mike Esparza,
Here.
Sophia Moreno,
Here.
Sandra Pollock-Cushing, Regina Suchek,
Here.
Jeff Short. Thank you.
Okay. Will Commissioner Esparza please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Before we move to the next agenda item, I'd like to welcome our new Youth Commissioner, Sophia Moreno. Sophia, would you like to introduce yourself to the board?
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm a junior and I go to West Park High School. I play track and tennis, and I served on the library board last year, and I'm excited to collaborate on this board this year.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, will the secretary read the procedures for addressing the Parks and Rec Commission tonight?
Minutes?
Public comments.
We're not up to that yet.
Oh, okay.
Citizens addressing the commission during public comment are asked to approach the podium and are limited to 3 minutes unless extended by the chair, and must be regarding items that are not listed on the agenda and are with the city's jurisdiction. The Brown Act does not permit any action or discussion on items not listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on items addressed under public comments.
Okay. I'll now open the floor to public comments. I will close public comment. Okay, first item is 5.1. Next on the agenda is the approval of the draft of meeting minutes from the December 4th, 2023 Parks and Recreation meeting. Are there any comments or questions about the minutes from December 4th? And is there a motion to approve? If not,
Second. Gotcha.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on. Now we're going to request some presentations. Item 6.1. Our trustee leader, Jill Geller, is going to tell, it's the appointment of the 2024 chair and vice chair already. So there you go.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. I am Jill Geller, your Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Director. And at our first meeting each year, the Commission appoints a chair and vice chair to serve in those capacities for the calendar year. The city's administrative standards for boards and commissions state that any voting member of the board or commission, except a youth member, can serve as chair and shall be seated at the next meeting. The length of term for the vice chair and chair shall be 1 year. However, there are no limitations on the number of consecutive terms the chair or vice chair may serve. So traditionally on our Parks and Recreation Commission, the vice chair has moved into the role of chair and a new vice chair has been selected. And as you know, Renee has served as the vice chair for this past year, but it is the commission's discretion to appoint these positions however you choose. This is an action item, and your appointment of the chair and vice chair will be for calendar year 2024. And so I'll turn it back over to your current chair to lead your discussion on this topic.
Okay, I'm opening the commission for comments.
If there's no objection from her, I'll nominate Renee Bororiak to be our chair for 2024.
Second that.
Okay. Then I guess any public comments on that?
No, we'll take a vote.
Take a vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't, okay.
All in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next would be the commission to determine vice chair.
nominate Nick Alexander if he would be willing.
I'll accept.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next up. Item 6.2.
We do need to open it up for a public
Oh,
comment.
okay. Any public comments on that? No, okay. I will close public comment. Now it's item 6.2. Next is Youth Sports Coalition update by Christy LaRoche.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Christy LaRoche. I am the staff representative on the Youth Sports Coalition. I'm here tonight to provide you with an update on the Youth Sports Coalition. And last fall, I came to you with the recommendation from YSC as they were liking to move to being no longer an ad hoc advisory group. With that, we had some really great discussion about some concerns that had come up. We definitely shared that with the Youth Sports Coalition, and we decided to continue forward, and we asked Council for their support with the recommendation. Since then, Council did pass the recommendation in October, and in October we held a workshop with the Youth Sports Coalition. All 7 leagues were representative, as well as our commissioners from the Park and Rec Commission. They came and we asked various questions. What is our purpose? Where do we see ourselves in the next year? What do we want our meetings to be? What type of structure? What type of approach do we want to take? And really the outcomes of the Youth Sports Coalition. After our discussion, we took all of the notes and we combined them into a new charter. We have a 2024 charter that we established. It talks about our mission, our purpose, our meeting schedule, when we plan to make decisions on certain items, how we do allocations, and so forth. That was presented to the Youth Sports Coalition this last January. We held a meeting on the 25th. And during that meeting, we were able to do an allocation meeting, something that had been many years in the making, but we had been unable to do for various reasons. We were able to hold an allocation meeting for the bat and ball groups. We were able to talk about how we allocate fields, when we have to let certain fields rest, how we make those decisions as far as boundary lines and how that works. And it was a wonderful discussion. We were able to really have a candid conversation and get all of our spring allocations underway. We moved into the formal meeting portion. We still do the meetings very similarly. If you have attended any of the Youth Sports Coalition meetings, they look pretty much the same. We were able to talk about the financials. We were able to discuss the Youth Sports Coalition. They are doing their annual scholarship, and they will be distributing that in April. We also had a really great discussion. One of the things that had come out of the October meeting was they wanted it to better understand the process of how they can vocalize their needs in certain parks as we go to renovate or we go to build. And we were able to share with them the process to being able to communicate their needs and being able to share some ideas if they have some. So that was a really great discussion. I look forward to coming back to the Park and Rec Commission. I'll be coming back in July and sharing the recipients of the Youth Sports Coalition Scholarship. And then I will also be providing an update on some of the progress that we've made in this last year. For now, I stand for any questions that you may have.
Anything?
Thank you very much.
I'll open this up to, well, the commission didn't seem to have much to say, so I'll open this up for public comment and close public comment. And since that item was informational only, no action is required. So we can move on to the next agenda item. 6.3 Pistachio Park Master Plan Update, Tara G.
Good evening. I'm Tara G., your Park Planning and Development Manager, and I'm here to talk about Pistachio Regional Park. Give you a little background on where we have been and then some of the reasons for the update. For most of you, you know where this is. It's located in West Roseville off of the West Park Drive, adjacent to the new West Park High School. I think one of you knows exactly where it is. So I don't know if you have the slides up ready to go here.
He's on the phone.
Oh, TD. I'll pause for just a minute because I think the graphics are very important to you.
Carol, we have a technical issue with the PowerPoint presentation, so go ahead, and then I'll catch up to you.
Okay, that sounds good. He's going to catch up. So imagine, so
Picture.
just for a little background for you, because most of you are new, that we did a quite extensive public outreach program when we first created the master plan in 2017. So in 2017, we had, in May, we had a public workshop where we got groups of people together, and what they did was had a tabletop exercise where the groups with various interests were to create a master plan themselves. And our consultants then pulled all of those sketches together and created the master plan that was first approved. The second workshop then presented those items, and we did other stakeholder workshops, including the Historical Society, the school district, and many, many others who had a vested interest in what we did. From there, we did a 2-week run-in period, and since this is a citywide park, this is different than some of the neighborhood parks that you've seen in the past. So we did a 2-week run-in period, and we invited all of those different participants to write in, give us their feedback. So as I mentioned, this is a citywide park, and the funding for this park is from West Roseville citywide fees. They're different than the neighborhood park fees, and in West Roseville, the citywide fees stay within West Roseville. So the two parks that funding is applied to through this source is Pistachio Regional Park and a little bit for the soccer complex. So in West Roseville, we are lucky because we have 2 citywide parks. And as you know, citywide parks are built in phases. So we built the first phase, which I'll get into a little bit. It's a 44-acre site, and many of you know that our first phase was constructed with a JV baseball field and then 2 softball fields plus restroom and parking lots. So those are there, currently being used. Not only by our public, but as a joint use facility for the high school. And that was our first priority. As the new high school was being built, we wanted to be good partners and help supplement the needs of the fields that were to support JV and varsity for softball. So what's also proposed in the original master plan was shaded picnic, a small children's play area, green open turf, 4 pickleball courts, more parking, 6 tennis courts, and pedestrian pathways. So those were built in around 2018, 2019, pre-pandemic. And many of you have either seen it or used it. Some of you were actually at the dedication when we had that not that long ago. In the northern portion of the site, it was it's hard to describe without the graphics here, but it was a little bit split up. So the northern portion has the Fitterman House or the Fitterman Homestead. And associated with that was not only the rehabilitation of that site, but also a children's play area, a universally accessible play area. Support features an event center as well. If you imagine the flower farm up in Loomis, it was something like that where it was multi-use and we could have events or we could have private parties at that location. And the architecture was to complement the homestead so that it would be that more rustic feel and really fit in. Included in that were some outdoor spaces that would have some garden-like feel. So the event center, you could have a wedding outside and go into the event center and have your reception there. So that was the idea of that.
They do have these in their packet.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, so I know there you guys are all looking at your packet, thank you. So In addition to some of that, we identified a maintenance area as well as additional parking lots to support those features. So what has changed between then and now? Well, one is that we did stabilize the house, not necessarily for public use, but to preserve it. So we re-roofed, we did dry rot, we spent about $380,000 to stabilize and repaint the house. We also have been working with the Roseville Historical Society to create a volunteer program to take care of the outdoors areas or the areas immediately surrounding the homestead. And most recently, we issued an RFP, a request for proposals, to hire a consultant to help us envision what that homestead could be. Some interpretation, some live exhibits, if you will. So we're in the process right now of evaluating the submissions. But that would be our next step related to the Fittement homestead. So what has changed? Lots have changed since 2017 when we approved it. One is that the soccer fields that were envisioned on the south part of the creek, there were 3 of them identified, and they were to supplement the soccer complex, or the original soccer complex that we were partnering with Placer Valley Tourism. Since Placer Valley Tourism had refocused their efforts to the grounds, an indoor athletic space, that left an opportunity for us on the south end that we no longer needed those soccer fields to create a 10-field complex. In addition to that, that northern property was sold, and we did a land swap for the soccer complex where it is right now, next to the wastewater treatment plant off of Westbrook Drive. When we did that, we also moved the universally accessible playground to the soccer complex, so that left another opportunity here at Pistachio Park. The last item is that the high school built their own tennis courts as well. So they have tennis courts on their campus. So it gave us an opportunity to relook at that space as well. So the feedback since 2017 included lots of needs for the West Roseville area, and some of those were a spray ground, a West Roseville Community Center and Library, a skate track, a BMX track. They still wanted tennis, and of course pickleball. Pickleball, we can't put enough throughout the city. So those were the feedback that we received for a couple of years leading up to this point. So working with our consultant, we identified the area, the north area by the homestead. The homestead still has a similar footprint. And we identified a mega community center and library. And what do I mean by that? In your packet, you have some examples of that. But it's a multi-storied building. So if you think about Mahaney and Maidu as community centers, they actually have one floor that's spread out. Well, in this case, we have a footprint that will go multi-floored. Some of the examples, I have pictures of those, but some of the examples are on the bottom would be a swimming pool, an indoor swimming pool type of, could be gymnasiums in there. Second floor could be meeting rooms and event spaces, the library. And then maybe even a third floor, which could include fitness areas, more meeting rooms, more gymnasiums. So we can put more into a smaller square footage if we built up. And being there at the West Park High School, if you know that high school, they built up too. So it wouldn't be necessarily out of place to be able to build up in that location. Now in the other areas as well, we had the universally accessible playground. And so we reworked it a little bit to add some support features such as a parking lot, and then identified a place that's near on the other side of the homestead as a children's play area and a splash pad. Something that, we're going to have staff there, and we try to locate those items strategically so that when we have staff, a splash pad does take a lot of maintenance. And so we would have the resources on site to be able to, or nearby, to be able to handle the maintenance of that. So that's that north area. In the length of the rest of the park where the soccer fields used to be, we looked at that as well, and we were going to look at, well, do we need more tennis courts? And the answer is yes, because sometimes those tennis courts on the high school site are not necessarily accessible all the time. So the proposal is to put three tennis courts, keep 3 tennis courts in that area, 6 pickleball courts, and 2 futsal courts. And if you don't know what futsal is, it's the size of a basketball court, and it's more, soccer. You play soccer on it, but you don't kick really hard. So in addition to that, that would be just north of the softball fields with another parking lot. And we know that, as we add more people, we need more off-street parking. The third opportunity is where the soccer fields used to be, or were planned to be before the whole complex was moved to a different site. And we're excited about this as well, because that space, not only would we be able to add more parking, but we would also be able to look at a skate track and a BMX track. And that's a great location because we're not up against any residents, where West Park Drive is a well-traveled road, 4 lanes. And so, access into that site is going to be a lot easier than in some other alternative locations. So, let's see here. So, the graphic in your packet shows the proposed changes in the master plan, and we're here tonight to seek your approval of the updated master plan and make a recommendation to the City Council for formal approval pending environmental clearance.
And is that this graphic?
Yes, this graphic is, I don't know what page it is.
It's the one that's opposite the photos.
Yeah.
The graphic that's opposite the photos.
Anyone? And then there was another one. at
So
the
this
very end.
concludes my
same,
presentation,
it's just has
and
the
I will
parking.
turn it back over
okay.
to you for any comments or questions.
Okay, I'll open this to the commission for comment.
I can jump in. So, question on the parking. Being involved with softball the last few years, I know there were constant emails telling us not to park on the street, not to park. Is this additional parking going to be able to handle both the weekend softball as well as the pickleball
Yeah.
enthusiasts?
Yeah, that's a good question, and certainly that's always a concern of ours as well. Working with the consultants, that was the number one thing I asked them to do, is a parking lot study to ensure that any of these additional amenities can be supported by parking. So if you notice on the graphic, there's several different parking locations, in addition to parking by the community center, parking by the splash pad, parking by the skate/BMX track, and then also additional parking by the courts, sports courts area as well. So we did add quite a few different opportunities for parking off-street.
Okay, good.
I have a couple of questions. So you kind of lost me a little bit on where we are with the community center. I love the idea of building up and getting more into it. What is being envisioned there right now, or are we not there yet?
We're not quite there yet. However, we do want to make sure we include event space and rentals, a library, a fitness area, several gyms, and a pool at minimum. how that.
A lot.
Minimum. And that's why I call it the mega center, because how it lays out, we're far from that, but we're dreaming big. And we know that if you look up some examples like Olathe, right? I always say it wrong. In Kansas, they have some great pictures that demonstrate that type of facility we're looking at.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question was, I don't know, what I would do differently, because I think getting all of these amenities into one park is incredible. But I am a little, I don't like the kind of north-south split, because to get around the side, you'd have to kind of go up and take Blue Oaks and come back down around. So I'm looking at this, and it looks like there is a maintenance road from that road between the high school and the park into that parking lot between the skate park and the pickleball courts. Is that going to be kind of blocked off? Or I'm picturing like Maidu, where you have the main parking lot, but there's that little road that you can take to get back closer toward the playgrounds. Is that more what we're thinking? Because I think that would be enough.
We wouldn't want, right now, it's not envisioned to be for public access. One of the reasons is the geometry of the road right now on a Panther Drive is such that it would, in order to bring it back in and hook it into West Park, would take up a lot of real estate, and that becomes problematic. The other item that we're very conscious of is making it a thoroughfare or a shortcut to the high school. And we want to encourage that the established roads, the established driveways really take the students where they need to be in parking. The convenience of parking right off of Westbrook is helpful for those amenities, because they will remain available to the park users for that, versus having that cut through that goes to the high school.
You do have somewhat, there's kind of two distinct, you've got the sport outdoor facilities on the south end, and then more the community type things on the north end. I see that.
It looks like two parks to me kind of butt up against each other.
Yeah.
And so I wonder why, maybe we need to think about it more like that. And I'm thinking of Veterans Park, how we have a Veterans Park and a Veterans Park North, and maybe something similar might be what we do here. Or the other thought would be is, I mentioned the Maidu, maybe it could be open on Saturdays and Sundays when, more of the park activity is going to happen. Just some thoughts to try to alleviate confusion as people are trying to get to some of these facilities and come in the wrong entrance. And
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, wayfinding and signage will be very important, for sure. But yes, we can, as you know, this is a very high level, so when we get into those details, we'll keep that in mind.
A quick question on that, too. Is the entire plan envisioned in one phase, or, I guess there's already a phase that exists right now with the existing park, so this would be a second phase, or is there 2, 3, and 4 phases?
Yeah, it could be 2, 3, or 4, depending on the funding. Now, if you ask me what the priority is, I think all of them. Everybody would want, there'd be votes for every single item that we just described. So to answer your question really quickly, yeah, it'll be several phases before we finish this park.
What percentage of that budget is kind of set aside for that super community center? I would imagine it's the.
I don't know what percentage. We don't have enough.
Yeah, okay.
So we would need to look at our funding. We'd have to be creative and innovative, much like what we did for the soccer complex. There are different funding sources outside of the citywide park fund, but they need to be built up as well.
I have a couple questions, too. Like Commissioner Short, I do have some concerns about wayfinding between the north and the south. I think it's going to be a very important thing to communicate whether or not there is access, so people know how to get back and forth. I can see a lot of frustrated drivers, the way it kind of shows up now, but agreed, it's very early days, so there's time to deal with all of that. I did have a couple questions. I was kind of comparing the old to the new. Am I missing something, or I'm seeing that the original had a barn shelter and a reservoir and some shaded bleachers. Is that, any of that in this new one? Or, and maybe it's just not called out?
It's, no, well, the barn feature was the event center. And
Okay.
so that is being replaced by
Morphed.
the mega center.
Gotcha. Okay. What about reservoir and the shaded bleachers? I think the shaded bleachers were adjacent to some of the courts. Yeah, they were adjacent to the tennis courts. So are any of those going to be also?
Yes, we also have some shaded seating areas right
Gotcha.
by between the pickleball
And the tennis?
court.
Okay, so that, it's just not called out on here?
Yes.
Perfect, okay.
And was the original intent on the bleachers because it was for the high school to
Yes.
use? Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Whereas,
we don't no longer, thank you for
Yeah.
that, we no longer
Okay.
need that.
Yeah. And then the final kind of comment relative to the community, you kind of talked about funding sources, but a facility like this, it seems like you could make it very multi-user and find ways of getting discrete funding sources for a lot of different things. Was talking with Jill Geller before, and, resiliency, evacuation centers, those kinds of things. There's all kinds of funding out there. So things like that would be a really big benefit towards getting the dollars allocated.
Yeah, and for sure, and grants, and we will be, as I mentioned, we'll have some innovative financing, if you will, so that we are able to put all of this in, and grants is part of it, and some of the other supports, alliances and partnerships that you mentioned as well.
some naming rights on your super community center.
There you go.
Yeah, I had a comment, I guess, and you talked a little bit about parking already, but when you look at this plan, the thing that jumps out right at you are the amount of parking lots. I count 7, including an overflow lot. Being this is a joint use facility and there's a high school football stadium and track facility there, is this going to be a joint use parking type of a situation?
It probably naturally will become that because it's going to be a lot easier to park here to go to the football game. We'd have to work with the school on that because one of the things that we experience a lot is our high schools are used by our parks next to high schools are used a lot by the high schoolers. So, we need to find that right balance for sure, but it wouldn't be out of the realm of reality that they would use that on Friday nights.
Well, and again, I guess you did the parking counts, but I guess the question is, do we need all 7 lots? I'd rather see one of those lots be used for recreational purposes rather than, striping it and
Yeah.
paving it.
I hear you on that. Parking lots are very expensive.
Yeah.
But one thing we do know is that right now with the current facilities we have, there's parking on the street, which, Matt's already mentioned. So we want to avoid that, and we want to avoid putting people into neighborhoods too. So it's that fine line.
Understood. And again, the reason why I asked that question is because there are some significant facilities there at the high school, and to the extent that, we can, help the community by, if we're going to do all these parking lots, by doing that. But my preference would be that, 1 or 2 of those lots be used for recreational purposes, but that's just my preference. You've done the studies. And then on the community center, I just want to make sure we take, that the programming for that is well thought. That we really think through that. Because it's easy to see a little square on the map, but then what's going to go into that square? And we haven't gotten there yet, but that's why I just want to say that care must be taken in the programming of that facility.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in off of what Nick was saying about the high school, then using some of the parking, even though I know he was saying he'd like to see less parking. That could get quite crowded on a Friday night with football and then softball. My kid played softball. I know those spots are premium. That a lot of thought will be put into that. I mean, just certain nights are probably going to be highly impacted.
Right. Right, and we need to consider all of that for sure. And that's part of why there's 7 lots out there. Is to
Well,
make
you know,
sure.
I'm a football guy, so to the extent that, you know, we help with the football facilities and the track facilities as well.
Yeah, track's right there too, yeah.
Is like the BMX skate park and the hard courts, are those envisioned to be lit?
Yes.
Okay.
Couple of questions. First of all, if somebody were to park over at, you know, the far parking lot by the existing ball field because they don't know where they're going, what's the distance that they would have to walk to get to the community center in theory?
A long ways. I don't know that answer precisely on it. They would be able to walk there, but it's probably not going to be something people would prefer to do. So we would, going back to the earlier comment, we need to make sure that we've got great wayfinding from day one,
Yeah.
so that people really know what it is. It's kind of like what we did over at Mahaney, where we had the corner sign and said, to the, you know, aquatics complex this way and the library this way. We would have to do much more of that than we do at Mahaney from the start, so that people will make the wrong turn, but after they get used to it, maybe the second time, they see the signs and have more familiarity with it.
I mean, yeah, back to Jeff's point on potentially with naming, because that northern part is now basically built around the community center with some other community facilities. It should have its own address and be completely separate, which would help with the wayfinding.
Yeah, for sure. And for fire will require a separate address, so that will sort of be part of that process.
Okay.
And then my next thing was traffic. Now, the addition, we're now adding yet another thing where all the schools are. So I'm guessing the hours are going to be fairly similar as to, you know, when all those parents and kids are flooding to try to get into West Park and just get their kids to school on time. So now we're adding like another mega thing, you know, in addition to the mega soccer complex. Like, those roads are they're residential roads, and it wasn't built for mega centers and mega soccer complexes. So and I know that's all, you know, studied by you guys and everything before decisions are made, but that would be a big concern to me.
Well, you keep in mind, Bob Doyle Drive, and West Park Drive, Westbrook Drive, they are all designed for lots of traffic. If you think about, it seems like a lot here, and I will not deny that. But if you think about the north area, when it was part of the citywide park, that was the soccer complex. So that was going to generate a lot of traffic too. So without that there, and then we have replaced it with some other amenities, we're probably about the same as it was if the soccer complex was built in the north of the creek.
Okay, and then will there ever be enough pickleball courts? Or are we just like hopping on this, you know, trend and we're going to see it through, and no matter what happens, we're just assuming this is going to be a long haul sport?
Well, actually, it's growing.
Yeah, no, I know it's growing,
Yeah.
but, you know, is there
We do
a maximum number
I
that
don't know
Roseville
that
needs?
there's a maximum number, but what we're looking at, is that not only is it growing, but it's growing in demographic
Right.
too. In the past, it's been a very much active adult sport, but it is, if you look at who's playing now, it's all ages, so it will keep growing. That, to your point, we do have to be careful not to overbuild. And, we'll be looking at that. We are always paying attention to trends and who's playing, how are they playing it, where are they playing it, and, whether we have enough, especially if there's access locally with our neighbors as well. So we weigh all of that. If if by the time we build this, if the trends start to change, that doesn't mean you have to build it either. So we'll be looking at that when it's time to make a move on that. And I know, did you have any other additional comments on that?
No, my only comment is that they're teaching pickleball in the schools now. It's becoming an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
I truly don't see it dying down anytime soon. And just like now, we can repurpose tennis courts for pickleball or basketball, whatever, in the future. If it's not popular, I think we'll be able to repurpose this space.
That's what they said about racquetball at a time.
Right. And
Racquetball, by the way.
is this going to be the trend towards West Park, building up now? Because, I mean, we have so many nice, pretty views and, you know, the landscapes and the, you know, I mean, I was just wondering if that's going to start to change by,
I don't know from a building standpoint. I know that most of the construction, home construction is two floors, 2 stories. For us, it just made sense for this location in particular. We don't have another community center in the books as yet, so this would be the only one at this point.
and the time frame on this is,
Between now and whenever. Yeah, if this is approved by council, you know, our next steps are to start looking and identifying
Is this
funding
on
sources.
the basis of park fee cash flow, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is that, for sure. The grants are harder to get for this, but as Regina said, there's other, you know, options and opportunities too. So we're just going to have to look and, you know, identify the funds, and that might point to what we build next as well.
I have one more, actually. It came up during the pickleball conversation is, you know, I don't know that even a regional park of this size needs to have every amenity, but it's kind of notable that there are no basketball courts planned. Where are the nearest basketball, full court basketball facilities to this park?
Full courts are going to end up being on the elementary school sites.
That's
So,
right.
We have a lot of those. So we try not to duplicate when there's access to those.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
Are there basketball courts on the high school that are open to the public?
I do not believe so. I think they're just in the gym.
Yeah, this one, it looks like they're pretty inborn to the high school site. They're kind of like right in the middle, so it'd be hard to get access to them, I think.
Yeah, I see them right there, yeah.
anybody else? Anything else to add? Okay, I'd like to open this up to public comment, if anybody has anything. Okay, closing public comment. And
I'll make a
May I have a
motion
motion?
to recommend for council for approval. Second.
Okay, a little discussion on that. And just recommend to the council that, to the staff that the council gets our comments on it as well.
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Carries. Agenda item 6.4, hiring and onboarding team, Courtney Clay and Jay Castle.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having us here tonight. It's great to see you all again. My name is Jay Castle. I'm a Recreation Coordinator for Parks, Recreation, and Libraries. I oversee the day-to-day operations of the Mahaney Fitness Center, and I'm also the Chair of the Recruitment and Onboarding Committee. Joining me tonight is Courtney Clay, the co-chair of this committee. We are here tonight to present on the recruitment and onboarding efforts of the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. For those of you who do not know, HPO stands for High Performing Organization. Currently, our recruitment and onboarding HPO committee has 12 active members, including Courtney and myself. Each member of this committee is a representative of all Parks, Recreation, and Libraries divisions. The purpose statement of our committee is to spark interest, attract quality talent, create consistency in the onboarding process, and set up staff for success for their career in Parks, Recreation, and Libraries. Oh, nice, that's up. Okay. One of our Okay. One of our ways our committee has created opportunities to spark interest and attract quality talent is through our job fairs.
Thank you, Jake. Hello, commissioners. As Jake mentioned earlier, my name is Courtney Clay. I'm one of the administrative technicians for the Youth Development Division. I oversee the hiring for all part-time staff in our Adventure Club and preschool programs, and as well as co-chair of the HBO Recruitment Onboarding Committee. Now I'd like to share some insights that we have from our 2023 job fair event. We hosted this event on Saturday, January 28th at Mahaney Fitness Center. We had approximately 450 to 500 attendees. 12 divisions and departments were represented for Roseville. Included in the event were hiring workshops that discuss tips and tricks on interview process for the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. Computers were made available for candidates to fill out their application. And lastly, on-the-spot interviews were conducted for any divisions or departments that were interested in participating and hiring for part-time positions. In Adventure Club, we were able to hire 10 candidates, and in Recreation, we hired 2 customer service specialists. Feedback that we did receive from attendees after the event was that they wanted to see a workshop more geared toward professional positions and more information about the city's interview and hiring process. Now I'll pass it back to Jake to talk about this year's job fair.
All righty. Thank you, Courtney. On Saturday, January 27th, 2 Saturdays ago, we hosted our 2024 job fair at the Maidu Community Center on the east side of Roseville, which brought in approximately 800 to 1,000 attendees. We had 10 different information booths represented by city departments and divisions. We hosted both a teen track and a professional track, so we took that feedback and incorporated immediately. We hosted, all of those were actually completely full and had full participants for their current sessions. Computers and tablets were also made available for on-the-spot application assistance. Our HPO Recruitment and Onboarding Committee is eager to receive feedback from departments and division who participated in this year's job fair to further our growth for this event and continue to stay in line with our purpose statement as mentioned earlier. Alrighty, supplementing hosting our job fairs, we have continued efforts and outreach towards local schools. We have participated in both career fairs and job fairs at Boljon Middle School. Also, our high school outreach includes West Park, Wood Creek, Roseville, and Oakmont. Our college outreach includes William Jessup, Sierra College, Sacramento State, and Chico State.
Some other continued recruitment efforts have been posting on various job boards, building relationships with the schools, presenting in high school classes, keeping up on social media trends, as well as hosting an online summer job overview where we discuss our seasonal summer positions for hiring. As well, always available is our Roseville City website. If you visit roseville.ca.us/funjobs, you will see all the job postings for the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department.
To summarize our outreach recruitment efforts in 2023, we attended over 20 job and career fairs. We created recruitment efforts during local events such as Downtown Tuesday Night and Family Fest. In 2023, we hired 25 full-time staff positions. 16 of them were internal employees that promoted from part-time to full-time. We hired 265 part-time staff, 156 of which were seasonal summer hires. In our previous year, 2022, we hired only 21 full-time staff, 10 of which were internal employees that promoted from part-time to full-time. We hired 255 part-time staff, 103 of which were seasonal summer hires. We are seeing a positive trend in our hiring data, which tells us that our recruitment and outreach efforts are working, but we are still striving to show improvement each year.
Now, recruitment is half of what this committee does, but we also focus on creating a welcoming onboarding experience for our new staff members in the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. Some of this includes an annual new employee orientation to prepare our new and returning staff members. At the orientation, we typically have over 100 staff members in attendance. The event is usually themed, as seen in the picture, and we also have prizes for those who are best dressed. We give an overview of our department's mission and vision and values, and we take the time to have employees understand our safety procedures and city policies. Typically, we incorporate games and activities to help our staff retain the information and, most importantly, to have fun. Now, Jake will talk about the onboarding experience for our full-time staff.
Alrighty. In 2023, our HBO committee created a new networking opportunity to meet and greet through a social event with management for our new full-time staff called Coffee with Cabinet. Our committee also administers welcome cards, which are given to the new hire on their first day, along with some Parks, Recreation, and Library swag. An onboarding checklist was created and made accessible to assist hiring supervisors. Welcome binders are given to new hires with information that guides them towards a smooth onboarding transition. Our goal is to ensure that we are setting up our team and new employees for success. With these recruitment efforts, quality trainings, creative onboarding ideas, opportunities to serve the community, career growth, etc., we feel that this sets our department apart, creating the why behind people wanting to come work for the City of Roseville Parks, Recreation, and Libraries. We aim to continue these efforts for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you both. Okay, I'd like to open this up to the commission for comment.
No, it sounds great. Last year, I seem to recall there was some type of training program, or is that specific to the more of the teen summer employment?
Leadership and Development Program?
Yes.
Yep. So that is still currently taking place. They
Okay.
actually had a booth at the both 2023 and 2024 job fair.
Okay, great. And I think I asked it separately after the meeting, but I threw out a suggestion because I think if you're putting the effort to do the leadership training, potentially incentivizing them to come back by having them come at a higher rate of pay than if they were to be initially coming off the street to apply for that job. So I don't know if that was taken into consideration or not, or shared, but if it wasn't, I'm sharing it now.
Yeah, thank you for that
Yeah.
feedback.
In past years, we had trouble recruiting lifeguards. Did this program include specialty skills like lifeguarding and things of that, skills of that nature?
Is this with regard to the Leadership and Development Program specifically, or
No, for
job fairs?
summer jobs.
Yeah. So Aquatics did have a booth at both of the job fairs, and they also, on our committee, we have 3 to 4 aquatics-based staff as well too, to continue that efforts for recruitment of lifeguards. So we have seen an uptick in our lifeguard.
And how are we set for lifeguards for the summertime? Or I don't know, maybe that's.
Yeah, you might be jumping ahead. I know Kelsey and Madeline are going to be reporting right back after us about that.
Yeah, because that concerned me a little bit.
Yeah.
So to the extent that I just want to make sure we're recruiting those specialty skills like lifeguarding.
Yeah, absolutely, we are.
I know it was just a couple weeks ago, but have you gotten any hires from the 900 to 1,000 attendees yet?
To speak on behalf of a venture club, we did give 11 contingent offers. So we're starting the process of getting them hired on.
And then my other question was, you had mentioned that previously you go to other job fairs, and then this one was just for the city?
Correct.
What is your comparing, and what do you think works better? Where do you get more people?
I personally think that our job fair has been a success only for the aspect of we can do on-the-spot interviews for part-time staff, and I was able to give out contingent offers for Venture Club, whereas other organizations that host the job fair, we can't do that as much, so.
Will you continue to try to do both, though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, I was telling Jill that the caliber of the people that you have managed to onboard, recruit, it boggles my mind how you find like the best people to work at these programs, because in the last couple months, I said, I have little ones, so we've attended glow-in-the-dark yoga, and I mean, beyond the fact that this year the program offerings, is just unbelievable. So you're just keep getting better and better and more. So how is there possibly enough of this wonderful staff to take care of this entire program of new activities? There's so many new family activities, parents, kids, and everyone that you find is perfect with children, and just they really have that Roseville Parks and Rec spirit. They want everybody to be involved, happy, great experiences, and it's so impressive. So, congratulations to you guys, because we've had so many great experiences so far this year with the programming. So.
Well, I'm going to jump in and give some praise to these guys as well, because I think the reason that you see such quality staff and a consistency in the way we do things, Courtney mentioned that they talk about our mission and vision and values and our purpose and the why, and all of our staff are getting that same message about why we do what we do and how we do what we do and the way we provide it. So hopefully you do see that consistency and the level of service that you're getting, because that's certainly what we strive for.
I see now, I'm seeing year after year. They've been staying. So, they're obviously happy as well. So, it's good job. Just keep up that caliber of people to join this department, and it's great.
Thank you for your presentation. I was just listening, and going back to what Nick was saying about how you guys were struggling for the specialty staff for the seasonal job hires. I know I've seen you guys on campus, the booths, the Parks and Rec, and I think I don't know, have you guys seen that work, or that's my first question, if that you get some recruitment there, but also maybe collaborating more in depth with the high schools, maybe having participating in our rallies and stuff. I know we have people come and do presentations during the school hours, and I think that reaches a greater audience at our school. And also, since we have such extensive sport programs at West Park itself, but maybe other schools as well, you could definitely get experienced athletes there to help with the programs that you need more recruitment for. So
Absolutely. We are trying to incorporate all type of creative ideas to pair with the schools. Courtney and I just recently went to Wood Creek High School to their rec admin classes and presented in there. Those are very specific to what Parks and Recreation does. They go out and teach PE to the elementary schools, local elementary schools. I actually went through that class, so I knew the teacher and was able to kind of talk through it and kind of explain what we do. To answer your first question, have we seen some improvement from boothing and all those job fairs and career fairs? Yes. Kind of going back to the numbers, is we've seen it looks like an increase of 10 part-time staff hired from last year to 2022 to 2023, and then as far as full-time goes, we have seen an increase of 5 full-time positions from the year before. So we're trending in the right way, and we're going to continue to try to take any type of advice, any type of creative ways to pair with these schools, not only West Park but all the other local schools, to try to get the top quality candidates like Sandra has seen in the years to come.
Can any students do this as volunteer hours towards, high school graduation or, scouts? Or could there be a paid paid, unpaid version of people coming on, or do you think those people are just going to be like very short term?
So we have both volunteer opportunities, and then we also we just incorporated a paid internship experience, and that was for this fiscal year. We actually just started it. In the past, I know for me, when I graduated from Chico State, I had to do an externship, and I was fortunate enough to be working with the city of Roseville. So my externship was paid. But we have since then created an internship opportunity to where it is a paid internship, and we have an intern currently that is helping out with events that is able to kind of take that opportunity.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, maybe people, if you had like a high school representative to like kind of almost feed into the high school and be like, hey, you know, I got this, have the school summer job, and, you know, Parks and Rec is rocks, you know, you should come join our team, you know, like.
And I'm sure the school board or the school administrators have seen our email pop up just about once a week. So, you know, outside of, you know, being that overly persistent, you know, we're continuously.
So you really are, okay.
Yeah, we're continuously reaching out to the school counselors, the career counselors, all that type of stuff. You know, they know our names first and last by now, so.
From their spam folders.
Yep.
And I forgot, I did have one more element on that, the leadership program. What type of retention have you been seeing from the leadership program to then coming back to apply for a job? And
I personally do not have that information. I could reach back out to the coordinator that oversees that program and provide you guys with that information to see what that retention rate is from LDP to full-time.
Because it seems like a great investment, so I'd hope to see that you're getting some retention.
I know
from
of one. I can only speak to one.
All right.
Okay, anybody else? All right, I'll open it to public comment. And I will close public comment. And that was an informational item, so we can move on to next agenda item, which is board member, commissioner, staff reports.
That's actually,
Entry caps.
yeah, we're talking about summer jobs next, item 6.5.
Oh, apologies, okay. Item 6.5, yes, summer jobs, Courtney Clay, Kelsey Myers, Madeline Jones.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Madeline Jones. I'm a Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Coordinator, and I work in the Aquatics Division.
My name is Courtney Clay, and I'm the Administrative Technician for Adventure Club.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Myers. I'm a Recreation Coordinator, and I oversee our day camps.
All right, I'm going to begin by giving a brief overview of the Aquatics Division. We have 3 facilities: the Mike Shalato Indoor Pool, which is open year-round, has 2 pools, and is popular for water fitness classes and swim lessons. We have the Roseville Aquatics Complex, or the RAC, as we refer to it, which has a recreation pool and a 50-meter competition pool, and also a brand-new spray ground that opened last summer. This outdoor facility is popular for competitive use. The RAC is used year-round by California Capital Aquatics, which is a year-round USA swim team, and during the school year by Wood Creek High School. Our city programs typically take place at the RAC in the spring and summer. Lastly, we have Johnson Pool, which is located in downtown Roseville, right down the street, and it is our oldest facility, which opened in 1921. Annually, between all 3 of these facilities, we have about 450,000 visitors each year. We would not be able to do what we do without our incredible staff. Our part-time aquatic staff consists of lifeguards, swim instructors, assistant pool managers, and pool managers. Last summer, we reached a total of 145 part-time staff, which is the highest staffing we've had since 2019. Around 100 of those staff are working year-round this year. With these staffing levels, we are able to offer flexibility in scheduling around school, sports, and other commitments, and also prevents burnout. Although staffing has been a challenge over the last few years, we received over 120 applications for the lifeguard position in 2023. We hired 65 lifeguards to work last summer, which is an increase from 40 new lifeguards in 2022. We hope to see a continued upward trend in candidates and hiring this year. So each year we focus our recruitment efforts on hiring for the lifeguard position. All candidates must successfully complete a lifeguard training course through the American Red Cross, and they must be 15 years old to take this course. The lifeguard training course can be a barrier for some applicants because of the time commitment, cost, or availability of courses in the area. Not to mention, you've got to know how to swim. However, if they're able to complete a lifeguard training course and get a job, the transferable skills that lifeguards learn are unique and extremely beneficial for future careers. Through frequent in-service trainings and on-the-job experience, lifeguards learn and practice adaptability, teamwork, and decision-making skills every day. Many lifeguards move on to pursue careers in teaching, nursing, coaching, and more. I'm now going to pass the mic over to Courtney Clay.
Thank you, Madeline. For Adventure Club, we have 21 locations across Roseville. For those that you don't know about Adventure Club, it is a licensed after-school care program for elementary school-age children. We also have preschool programs at various Adventure Club's facilities. In the summertime, we transition to a camp-style program, and we will be hiring for recreation aid and recreation specialists. We are looking to fill close to 20 positions. However, during the school year, we hire for our child care aide, child care teacher, child care program assistant, child care program leader, and preschool teacher. Some of our success in 2023 year was we were able to fill 47 part-time positions in our program. Now, next slide. Thank you. Now I'd like to talk to you about the minimum requirements for each position in Adventure Club. As I mentioned before, we are hiring for summer camp. For recreation aid, you must be at least 14 years of age and have completed the 9th grade. For a recreation specialist, you have to be at least 15 years of age and completed the 10th grade. Requirements for during the school year, we hire year-round positions in Adventure Club. You must be at least 18 years of age and have completed the 12th grade. For our child care aide position, that is our entry-level position and no experience is needed. All other positions in Adventure Club, 12 college units completed in subjects as early childhood education, human development, and other related courses are required. For the child care teacher position, minimum experience is required. For our lead role positions, child care program assistant, we require at least a minimum of 2 years or 2 seasons worked in child care program. For the child care program leader position, we require at least 4 years of experience working in a child care program. However, there are other qualifications depending on the level of education. Those can be found on the job specification. And lastly, the preschool teacher position, we require at least 2 years of experience in a preschool setting. Now, what we're looking for in candidates are someone that is energetic, loves to play with kids, likes to be creative, and will be a good role model to the students. Common career paths this experience can lead to is teaching, becoming a program or event coordinator, and other parks and recreation professions. I encourage anyone interested in working for Adventure Club to apply online by visiting our job opportunities page on the City of Roseville website. Now I will pass it over to Recreation Coordinator Kelsey Myers to talk about day camps.
Thank you. We have 5 day camps with the City of Roseville. So we have Camp Play, which is for ages 4 to 6. And then we actually, we had Camp Roseville, but we are adding a second site this summer because of the long wait list. So we have Camp Roseville, which will be our Mahaney site, and then our Camp Roseville Far West out at Westbrook. Those are both for ages 6 to 12. We also have Sparks, which is for ages 6 to 12, and then Teen Scene for ages 11 to 14. All of these camps are run by 3 positions, 3 part-time positions, which are recreation aides, recreation specialists, and then our recreation program leaders. We have 43 staff that work seasonally just during the summer, and then we have 15 staff who work year-round. This summer, we're looking to hire about 20 new staff members, and this is due to adding on to that new site. And then also each year we do a whole new recruitment for our recreation aides. Our success from last summer was that we had a 96% staff return rate, and looking at the numbers this year, it's about the same, which shows our recruitment efforts are working and our onboarding and keeping them happy here at our camps and programs. So our requirements for our seasonal and our year-round positions, so our recreation aide is a training position, and you must be 14 years old and completed the 9th grade. And then our recreation specialist is the position that runs the day-to-day activities at our camp. You must be 15 years old and completed the 10th grade. As they move up in the positions, they do learn a lot of transferable skills like problem solving, creativity, lots of leadership skills and teamwork and organization. And some of the common career paths that they can take is a teacher, instructor, program or event coordinator, and of course working in parks and recreation. And that instructor position is one of the ones that's leading those fun programs that you were mentioning earlier. So they can go on and do that forever if they'd like. We would love that. So there's lots of career paths that they can take after working with us part-time. Thank you.
Okay. Any comment from the commission?
I had one. I actually was going to ask it on the previous one and forgot. So you mentioned the 96% staff return rate. Are you finding that now that we've kind of have come out of COVID, that people are coming back kind of like they might have before, I would assume?
I actually have a lot of staff that started during COVID that are still returning now. Yeah, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but we do run into the problem of, not a problem, but they grow out of the position, right, and they go off to school and then they get their full-time jobs, and that tends to happen in waves. So we'll go a few years where we have everyone, and then we'll have to restart because they all move on. But we've had a lot of them staying and coming back through college, and that's been really helpful because we were struggling with the older staff during that time. We weren't finding that, but now they're staying around.
Good.
I'm pleased to see that there's an increase in the number of lifeguards, number one. Number two, I guess the question is 65 enough?
Yeah, so we had 65 last summer, and I will say it was a lot. And I think we're looking to reduce that number a little bit this summer because we feel good about the number of staff we have returning. But just in terms of safety and properly training all of these brand new 15-year-old lifeguards, we want to make sure that we have adequate management available to really supervise them and make sure they do all of their shadow lifeguarding and all of their training. So we felt like we were a bit stretched than last summer with the number of management training all those 65 new lifeguards. So we're going to bring it down a little bit this summer. But yeah, we were very happy with the 65 we got.
As long as you have enough veterans to bring them along, that'd be fine.
Yeah, and that it kind of goes hand in hand with Kelsey's point. You know, a lot of them will stick around if they're going to community college around here or come back seasonally. But then a lot of our staff are now going to four-year universities now that, you know, the world's opened up a bit more.
You helped my son get through UC Davis as a lifeguard, so.
Awesome. I did the same thing. Worked as a lifeguard when I went to UC Davis. So.
No, you're an Aggie.
Yeah, go Wags.
Is there any concern for the larger after-school care programs kind of coming into Roseville and like at my, like a Star or, you know, something like that, you know, them coming in and then taking business away from Adventure Club, like, you know, you're building a wonderful program. And is that a concern at all, or do you think that, you know, wouldn't really happen here?
From what I understand, we do
I think
still have
there's
wait
Right
lists.
Start and stuff at Junction, so.
Yeah,
okay.
so we do still have wait lists, so we're trying to get those families in still, so I don't see it as a concern very much. But I can get you more information at a later time.
Anybody else? Okay, then I'll open it for public comment. Close public comment. And that was an information-only agenda item, so we can move on now.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Next up, board member, commissioner, and staff report. Are there any reports from the staff?
I do have a short report, and first of all, thank you for your patience as we experienced some technical difficulties tonight. Kudos, Tara, for operating on the fly, and thank you for letting me hand out papers, if we all remembered what those were, to look at the presentation. But thank you for that. I did want to provide an update on an item that we discussed in November of 2023 regarding the consolidation of the Parks and Recreation and Libraries Commissions and Boards. There was an overall positive response to the consolidation at staff's presentations to not only the Parks and Recreation Commission, but also the Library Board and the Senior Commission. We did receive some suggestions for modifications to the plan, and particularly from this commission, and we appreciated those comments. So based on this feedback, staff intend to request that City Council approve the consolidation of the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Library Board, and the Senior Commission to be effective January 1st of 2027. This is 2 years later than the time frame we originally shared, and it was the result of the discussion at this commission meeting. So what that might look like is commissioners that are eligible for reappointment at the end of this year, 2024, may be reappointed for a 2-year term contingent upon the approval of a 2027 consolidation. And then at the end of 2026, a new Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Commission will be appointed. It will be recommended that this commission have 9 members, one of whom is a youth commissioner. And since this will be a brand new commission, all of the current commissioners and board members would be eligible to apply. And so we plan to take that recommendation to council later this year. Thank you again for your comments when we discuss this. Next on my updates, I often try to share with you a few of PRL's upcoming programs and events, and obviously we have a lot going on. So I thought it would be easiest tonight for me to just provide you our Experience PRL magazine. Make sure you have the latest of these. There's lots of great programs in this magazine. Another thing I really love is it's not just about our programs and offerings. There's a few little human interest stories in there as well, a map of our facilities and amenities at our parks, so it really is a great resource. These are available at any Parks, Recreation, and Libraries facility, and they're also available digitally at roseville.ca.us/parks. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. We did open the pickleball courts at the courts of Gibson Park a couple of weeks ago, and they have been very popular, even in the rain. They have been very popular. So a lot of great comments. You will receive some information about a formal dedication for that park in the coming weeks. So we were going to wait till it was a little bit warmer and nicer out before we did our formal dedication there. I also wanted to share with you that at the back of your packet tonight, you get the indicators every month as far as our participations, and tonight's our December, so this is year end for 2023. It was commented at our last meeting that golf looked like it was down a bit, and we did go back and look at that again. If you'll recall, last January, February, and March were very wet, so we did have lesser participation last winter, but we also noticed that one of the months had been omitted from this 23's numbers. So if you can see golf, we had just about 104,000 rounds last year compared to nearly 110 the year before. So we're down a bit, but still over 100,000, which is very good compared to just a few years ago. And so you can see that we really welcomed more people to all of our programs and our facilities in 2023 versus 2022. And that's really all I have for tonight, except for just a very enthusiastic Go Chiefs. And am I going to get booed out of here?
Want to remind
I did that especially for you,
I just want to
Nick.
remind you, you're in enemy territory.
I know. So, San Francisco's I'm from Kansas City, for those of you that lived there for many. San Francisco's my second favorite team. So I root for them. I root for them all the time, except for when they play one team. I probably shouldn't have said that in this forum.
It's okay.
That's all I have. I said too much. I'm done.
Thank
Somebody
you
make
so
sure
much.
somebody walks out with her. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And any comments from commission?
Real quick, just wanted to say we had my son's 7th birthday at the Mike Shalito pool last weekend, and with the exception of getting some bad news right off the bat that some of the facility wasn't going to be available through no fault of the staff or anything, the kids had a wonderful time. The staff was incredibly accommodating, very friendly. Let us watch the 49ers game on the TV, so that was good. And just overall had a very positive experience, so wanted to report that out.
Great.
Well, somebody has to go the other side and say, "Go Niners."
Sorry. I just had a question. Has there been an assessment of last night of the storms from the past few days? I mean, as for the park, was there any damage to any of the parks?
Yes, staff have been very busy today throughout the city, and there are some downed limbs in our parks that have not been taken care of yet because we're addressing immediate safety concerns first. You know, there were some streetscape issues, but staff have been very busy all day taking care of that. Not only from Parks, Recreation, and Libraries, but also Public Works, and many departments have been working on that.
So I follow a bunch of basketball content, and one thing I noticed while talking about weather is Texas has a lot of covered basketball courts. So for the harsh summers and rainy winters, just to keep in mind, Tara.
I'm writing it down.
They seem to do pretty well, and I'm sure the pickleball players would probably come at you as well on the covered courts. And then the only other comment is I loved the on social media the dad jokes from the Parks group. That was hilarious. So kudos to your social media team on that one.
Anybody else? All right. On that note, next on is adjournment. So do I have a motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn? Yep.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Our next meeting will be Monday, March 4th, 6 p.m.
Appreciate you your first meeting.